For anyone looking in from the outside, the Euro 2016 clashes between English and Russian football fans showed the Russian hooligan to be at the height of his influence, with dozens hospitalized and one man paralyzed. The world looked on in horror. But Russia sent out a defiant message that the men were heroes. Influential Duma deputy Igor Lebedev tweeted, "Well done, lads." The Deputy Prime Minister Vitaly Mutko described the violence as a set-up. President Putin wondered how 200 Russian fans had managed to beat up 1,000 of their opposite number. And upon returning to Moscow, deported fans were greeted by a full regalia of state TV crews. Racist and anti-gay chants on the rise in Russia ahead of World Cup. You'd think the host nation of a World Cup would have met us with handcuffs, or worse, but Mr. Putin was wise, says Alexander Shiprigin, the head of the official Russian supporters group, one of 20 sent home by French authorities. But for those in law enforcement responsible for Russian football ultras, the French spectacle proved the last straw. From the shadows, they began a clampdown, intent on avoiding any kind of organized violence in the World Cup. Law enforcement had been worried about Russian hooligans for some time. They had seen how leading firms had caused race riots in 2010, over the murder of a Spartak Moscow fan called Igor Lebedev. Then, Moscow's chief of police was forced to hold negotiations with men in masks, and President Putin intervened personally. The president made an unusual show of support with the fans by laying flowers at Mr. Lebedev's grave. He was accompanied by Mr. Shiprigin, a man photographed giving a Hitler salute. Yet the same month, a new anti-extremist center began operating from the Interior Ministry. Few recognized it at the time, but Center E would become the bane of many ultras' lives. In the months that followed, several hundred arrests were made, and the agent base expanded. They sent a message that fighting by and between football ultras would no longer be tolerated near the major cities. As a result, the firms moved to regular training bouts, usually organized 15 on 15, 20 on 20, or 50 on 50 deep into Russia's forests. 2018 Russia World Cup in numbers after Marseille, and with the World Cup less than 2 years away, even this became too much to handle. The forest fighting moved from social media to become a top-secret affair. Flirting with nationalist fan leaders like Mr. Shiprigin, Vladimir Putin even referred to him using his diminutive name, Sasha. The Kremlin kicked his organization out of the Russian Football Union, and authorities opened criminal cases against leading ultras, including an unprecedented action against Lokomotiv Moscow fans for offensive chants. Once upon a time, the ultras loved to brag. Now, under pressure from law enforcement, they talk with great reluctance. The three who spoke to The Independent did so on the condition of strict anonymity. All said they had been put under pressure by the security services, including phone calls and direct threats. One, a prominent Zenit St. Petersburg representative, said he knew of hundreds of supporters who had been jailed in the build-up to the World Cup. Security agents had visited his home to warn him against causing trouble. He said, "It's like it was with you guys and what Thatcher did, if you remember, that's what we are facing." The mention of Thatcher is not accidental, with 80s Britain a key reference point for Russian ultras. While the British firms succumbed to the government's anti-hooligan policies, and ultras turned away from knuckle-dusters to prawn crackers, the Russians clung to this original footballing tradition. In the very early days, when local teams had no scarves of their own, Russian fans even imported British scarves to wear on the tribunes. So the Spartak fans chose Arsenal, Manchester or Liverpool, Dinamo fans chose Millwall, Chelsea or Everton, CSKA fans chose Aston Villa. Home-produced scarves of local teams only appeared at the end of 1993. The kits for the 2018 World Cup have started to be released. But which one is your favorite? They say, a clean design in red and white, inspired by the 1988 USSR jersey. Our verdict: literally cannot muster up the enthusiasm to write any more words about this snorefest. They say, a smart strip in white and blue with subtle geometric pattern. Our verdict: now that's more like it. Big mistake not making this the home kit in our ever so humble opinion. Both home and away kits yet to be released. Will be supplied by Nike. Will probably feature a bit of green. They say, a sleek and modern kit with sublimated check pattern on the front and white Adidas strips down the sides. Our verdict: decent. Would make a nice Manchester United kit. They say, a clean design in silver lake blue, with an engineered jacquard graphic in the middle of the jersey. Our verdict: what's Spanish for horrific V-neck? They say, the red base from Portugal's Euro 2016 triumph is retained, with Nike introducing gold metallic trim and a green collar. Our verdict: yep, it's a template. But that doesn't stop it from looking smart. They say, an all-white design inspired by the country's naval history. Our verdict: cleaner than Kim Woodburn's kitchen. Lovely stuff. They say, made by Adidas and inspired by the classic 1994 home strip. Our verdict: get IT on my torso now. They say, another 1980s inspired kit. Halo blue, with bright orange trim. Our verdict: it's okay. Not a patch on that smashing home effort, mind. Both kits, to be produced by Adidas, are yet to be released. Same again, to be produced by Adidas but yet to be released. Hurry up lads. They say, a traditional look with blue jersey, white shorts and red socks. Our verdict: another template. Another sexy kit. Damn you, Nike. They say, white shirt, blue sleeves and white socks, with a distinct graphic print. Our verdict: why couldn't Nike have given this to England? As smooth as Zinedine Zidane's shiny bald head. Move along, nothing to see here. Nike's Aussie kits are yet to be released. They say, the last ever Umbro kit for the country. Marathon Sports take over next year. Our verdict: you don't get more traditional than this. A proper football kit for proper football men. You can shove your XG up your A***, etc. Yet to be released. But they're to be manufactured by Hummel, so they're bound to be good. They say, a classic effort that draws inspiration from the 1993 Copa America strip, coincidentally the last time Argentina won a major title. Our verdict: a stylish strip befitting of little Leo Messi. Top drawer. They say, black jerseys with neat white and blue trim, white shorts, black socks. Our verdict: woof. Coming to a 5-a-side court near you very soon. They say, an area-produced kit which incorporates the traditional home colors of blue, red and white. Our verdict: nice, if a little bit bargain basement. They say, the reverse of the home shirt. Our verdict: yes, we can confirm that this is the exact reverse of the home shirt. They say, Nike offer a new interpretation of the team's iconic checker design, with much larger checks than usual. Our verdict: will look great on Luka Modric if he can keep himself out of prison long enough to wear it. They say, the same template as the home shirt, but with a black and dark blue color scheme. Our verdict: very, very nice. A slightly gothic interpretation of the home shirt we all know and love. the football kit equivalent of late-night Hollyoaks. They say, an eclectic combination of bright green, white and black and an especially bold design. Our verdict: outstanding, sensational, sublime, the nicest kit at this year's World Cup and destined to be worn at boiler room sessions from now until 2046. They say, a clean design in dark green with subtle zigzag print. Our verdict: oh dear, clearly Nike used all their budget on the home shirt. About as exciting as a Songs of Praise marathon. They say, a traditional effort with subtle zigzag pattern. Our verdict: why change a winning formula? Bright, bold and very much Brazil. They say, based on the same design as the home shirt. Royal blue with a unique star pattern covering the front. Our verdict: yeah, fine, okay. The bad news: the kits haven't been released yet. The good news: they're being made by New Balance, so will be Pung. They say, white with red trim, with the nation's flag running down the center. Our verdict: very difficult to criticize. But we'll have a go, the collar is a bit naff. Other than that, no complaints. Now be on your way, Serbia way. They say, white, black and inspired by the iconic 1990 strip. Our verdict: you've already seen this, and you already love it. If only it featured the colors of the German flag, though. They say, the first green German jersey since Euro 2012, inspired by the 1994 away effort. Our verdict: it's Adidas. It's green. It's great. Let me wear you, Germany away. They say, manufactured by Adidas, featuring the country's traditional green color with white applications. Our verdict: yum. They say, draws inspiration from Mexico's kits of the 1950s. White with a green, white and red chest stripe. Our verdict: looks a bit like something Roger Federer would wear to win the Australian Open. And we're very much okay with that. They say, the traditional yellow and blue, with a subtle jacquard pattern on the front. Our verdict: nothing to write home about, to be honest. Unless you're writing this solitary word, boring, that is. They say, Adidas claim the away kit features a sleek design in blue and yellow. Our verdict: that subtle pattern is very nice. One of the better, plain Jane, kits to be worn in Russia. They say, a classic red design with dark blue shorts and red socks. Our verdict: boring, plain, routine, run-of-the-mill, humdrum, dreary, banal, unoriginal, spiritless, insipid, etc. They say, predominantly white, with a bold blue and red graphic print subtly inspired by a tiger pattern in the Teguk symbol. Our verdict: much better, although it does look a bit like a crayon-wielding toddler has been let loose on the New England shirt. Which nevertheless remains a huge improvement. They say, a bold design that takes inspiration from the iconic 1984 top. Our verdict: cracking. Atones for those atrocious bird efforts they've been palmed off with at the last few tournaments. They say, yellow and black with a slight all-over graphic print. Our verdict: yet another sublime Adidas away kit. Wolf whistles. They say, white with red crew neck collar and cuffs, and a dotted gradient graphic. Our verdict: if this football shirt was a British sporting personality, it would be Steve Davis. They say, the Tunisia 2018 World Cup away shirt is red with white details. Our verdict: if this football shirt was a British sporting personality, it would be Steve Davis. They say, manufactured by Nike, with a white base with blue for logos and a modern knit pattern on the front. Our verdict, about as inspiring as Ian Duncan Smith. This country really is going to the dogs. They say, red all over with a subtle St. George's cross motif across the front. Our verdict, it's red. It has a bit of a pattern thing going on across the front. We've already forgotten about it. Next. To be made by Nike, but yet to be released. To be made by Puma, but yet to be released. It's too late for our poll now, Senegal. They say, produced by Adidas with a traditional color scheme, inspired by the iconic home shirts worn in the 1970s and 80s. Our verdict, yes. If it's good enough for James Rodriguez, it's good enough for us. They say, predominantly royal blue, with bright orange trim and a jazzy pattern down one side of the shirt. Our verdict, very solid. Colombia right up there with Germany for the best pair of shirts in the business. They say, according to Adidas, the shirt's bespoke look and graphic takes inspiration from traditional samurai armor. Our verdict, really lovely kit. Deserves better than the inevitable group stage exit. They say, an understated all-white kit with subtle gray trim. Our verdict, Adidas deliver a top-draw kit yet again. A lovely way to round off the gallery. Thanks for reading. Russia apes the England of 1985 in many ways, says Sergei Smirnov, editor-in-chief of Media Zona, a media platform set up by Pusseriot members MariaElyokina and Nadezhda Tolokonikova. Whether you are talking about gay rights or the Russian hooligan culture, there are striking parallels. And the police response to both groups has been the same. The respect that Russian ultras held for British hooligan culture was the major contributing factor to Marseille, says Smirnov. It was not so much politics that drove the clashes, as reported in the English press. The Russian hooligan is not, he says, an overtly political animal. Perhaps a majority of ultras position themselves against the Kremlin, and there is a clear split in the movement on the issue of the Euromaidan revolution in Ukraine. And firms keep close links with Ukrainian counterparts. Marseille was, instead, a matter of Russian ultras proving themselves against what they saw as the fathers of the hooligan movement. It was a generational thing. Looking at the faces of the English victims, you could imagine them as the hooligans of the 1980s, men fond of a drink or two, says Smirnov. The Russian fans had moved on from that, teetotal, gym-going, organized, and with a long history of forest fighting. They were hardly fair opponents. World Cup 2018, football fans told to smarten up at Russian airports or face on-the-spot fines, but as much as Russian firms yearn for another try, and as much as British hooligans would like revenge, police are unlikely to give either a chance this summer. The ultras that The Independent spoke to said they did not expect any activity from the big firms. If there was any risk, it came from the smaller clubs under the radar, in Russia's provinces, they said. Given that such groups were largely responsible for the Marseille violence, one could assume that the hundreds of agents now devoted to monitoring ultras have that covered too. No one is getting ready to beat up foreigners, says Sri Prijan. They understand that if they do that, they are guaranteed to be sent to jail. British troublemakers are also promised a return to the 1980s-style policing. Vladimir Markin, the head of the security committee of the Russian Football Union, has promised misbehaving fans a night in Russian prison. They are less comfortable than the ones they might be used to, he says, but while Russia's city centers are likely to be overwhelmed by a sea of blue uniforms, random, sporadic clashes are not impossible, especially in the impoverished suburbs where neo-Nazi elements are occasionally still an issue. The risks of major violence are overblown, says Smirnov. But I'd be far happier being an England fan than an Asian one. Our far right is less interested in attacking white faces, whatever t-shirt they are wearing.